Students on Humber's North Campus are warned of violent robberies. We have the details.
High gas prices hit the GTA, and an eel has a special treat for Christmas. Humber News starts right now.
Hello, it's Thursday, December 2nd, 2010. Welcome to Humber News. I'm Simon Rice. Thanks for joining us.
And I'm Pam Ball. Ahead on our show, we'll have your sports and entertainment highlights, as well as your 5-day weather forecast. But first, Simon has our top story.
Humber College has issued a warning to students today about a string of robberies surrounding the North Campus. Reporter Jared Lalonde has the story.
Students arriving at North Campus today were greeted by warning notices from security personnel. The Toronto Police have issued a public safety alert following a string of robberies involving students on Tuesday. The incidents occurred in the area surrounding the North Campus, one near the intersection of Humber College Boulevard and Highway 27. A separate incident occurred near Humber College Boulevard and Humber Line Drive, just west of Humber's North Campus. With a noticeable police presence on campus, police say both robberies were considered violent, and the students involved are receiving ongoing support from Humber College. Acting Director of Public Safety Gary Janes says this is a serious matter.
They want to alert the Humber community, because we're 20,000 people, to ensure that they're aware of this going on, and in turn Humber, this is a top priority for the college, to make sure our students and employees are safe.
Police say Tuesday's robberies were the latest in a string of incidents dating back to late September. Police are currently looking for 2 black males between the ages of 17 to 20. Police say the men may have fled the scene in a dark-colored vehicle and may be carrying a firearm. As students arrived at school, Humber Security passed out leaflets warning students of both incidents, as well as the precautions that are being taken.
We've increased our mobile patrol and foot patrol, and you'll also see an increase of police presence, not only on the campus, but in the property, the areas around the campus.
Jane says Humber's Department of Public Safety is working hard to keep students safe. He recommends that students travel in large groups and try to conceal the use of cell phones or MP3 players as best they can. But most of all, Jane says students need to be aware of their surroundings and contact them if they witness any suspicious activity. Jared Lalonde, Humber News.
Toronto police have raided one of the largest marijuana grow-ops ever uncovered in the city. The massive grow-op was discovered in the Dufferin Street and Highway 401 area last night. A Crime Stoppers tip led police to probe a warehouse behind a store across the street from Yorkdale Mall. The operation at 120 Cartwright Avenue contained nearly 14,000 marijuana plants. Police say the plants were capable of producing more than $50 million worth of pot annually. One person has been taken into custody, but no charges have yet been laid.
It's Rob Ford's second day on the job, and today he threw his support behind Toronto police and their actions during the G20 summit. Ford made his comments during a radio interview this morning. The mayor said he wouldn't interfere with the Special Investigations Unit looking into police brutality complaints. He also said he has little sympathy for people who were down there because if they didn't want to be down there, then they shouldn't have been.
The move to decriminalize prostitution in Ontario was dealt a setback this morning. The Ontario Court of Appeals granted the government more time to launch an appeal against an earlier ruling which struck down key prostitution laws. The court agreed with the government's argument that that September ruling could thrust Ontario into an unprecedented social experiment. A lawyer for the government said removing the laws could cause an explosion of prostitution and brothels across the province.
Gas prices are on the rise. Prices rose by 4.4 cents earlier this morning to $1.12 a litre. It's the biggest price jump in 3 years. While some experts believe a chilly European winter is putting a drain on reserves, Liberal MP Dan McTeague says the gas hike is the result of profit-taking, lack of supply, and little competition at the refinery level. The price increase may not be over yet. McTeague predicts we could be paying $1.20 a litre by Christmas.
Humber held a candlelight vigil at both campuses last night to observe World AIDS Day. Reporter Crystal Burney covered the event at North Campus.
In honor of World AIDS Day, Humber hosted its second annual Candlelight Vigil to educate students about the disease. They held a moment's silence to honor those who died and those who are still battling HIV/AIDS. Event organizer Catherine McKee stressed the importance of World AIDS Day events.
It's so important that we come together to fight this and to find new ways to fight the disease, but also in fighting human rights for people with HIV.
A small crowd gathered at North Campus to hear the stories of 2 people living with HIV. Christine, a transgendered woman in her 50s, contracted HIV as a sex worker. She says it's important to spread the message about the disease.
I think it's so important because I became positive 25 years ago, and why are people still becoming positive this day and age?
Kyle Vos, a former Humber student, contracted HIV from a tattoo 8 years ago. He is working to break down the stigma surrounding HIV/AIDS.
And because we don't talk about those issues, the stigma about HIV keeps on living, and that's what spreads HIV.
The focus of World AIDS Day is to help break down the stigma and educate people about HIV/AIDS. Events like the Candlelight Vigil held here at Humber's North Campus help to provide a human perspective to the disease that you can't get from reading statistics. Crystal Burney, Humber News.
After the break, we'll have more news from around the country and the world. Heather Alford will have your sports update, and we'll take a look at the weather with Jessica LaBerge.
Dig out your hats and mitts because it's getting colder. I'll tell you what's in store for the weekend coming up after the break.